Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode on the Faith Like Wildflowers podcast. For today's episode, we are going to be adding on to my missions series, and I'm going to be sharing about my most recent missions trip from January. I think it was. Let's get my facts very straight here. It was from January 10th to the 17th of 2026. And I went to Mayreau, one of the islands in the Caribbean from the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Islands, for a third time in one whole year, which is kind of crazy, super cool, super blessed to be able to have these opportunities to go on mission trips, especially when I graduated and decided that I was going to go on short-term mission trips rather than a DTS because that's what I felt called to do at the time. And so that was super fun, and I want to tell you guys about this trip. But before we get started, as always, let's pray. Dear, I just thank you for today. And I just thank you for all these missional opportunities that you have been giving me and how you've been providing for that, especially when I first said that I felt led to do short-term missions trips instead of DTS. I was like, but what trips are going to come up? But you have provided so much. Have been going on so many since I graduated and have just been absolutely blessed. And so I thank you for these opportunities and just pray that you will continue to provide them, God, and continue to use me to spread your word and the gospel and to share your love with other people around the world, God. And I just pray that you will continue to lead people to this episode or to this podcast so they can continue to do that even from home as well, which I can also do to people around me as well. So I just pray that you'll lead me to people that are around my hometown as well. I pray this all in your precious and holy name. Amen. All right. So to get started, before we even left on this trip, I'm going to pin this quick. Oh, I missed. There we go. Before we even left on this trip, we had to split our group into two, and some had to leave Friday and some had to leave Saturday due to the fact that this time when we were going on the trip, instead of just going to St. Vincent and then taking a fast or slow ferry, whatever was available, to Mayreau Island, we were supposed to, two separate groups, but supposed to both groups have been fly into Barbados and then take a small plane, very small and sketchy plane, from Barbados to Union Island, one of the St. Vincent and the Grenadines Islands, and then take a speedboat over to Mayreau. That worked out for the first group. However, some complications and things happened, and that did not happen for my group. I went on Saturday, and the person that was leading our group was just kind of looking over the traveling situation and everything and the tickets. And for some reason, we were going to Atlanta, and then we were going to fly to, I don't even know. I forget what all got mixed up and what it was saying that it was going to end up being, but it was not the original plan. And so he had to contact the people who had set it up for us to be able to get to their YWAM base. And what ended up happening for our group then was we flew to Georgia, and then we flew to St. Vincent, stayed in St. Vincent for a night, took a small sketchy plane from St. Vincent to Union Island, and then from Union Island took speedboats over to Mayreau Island. And then we finally got there. So that was definitely a different experience compared to the times that I had before because, excuse me, I never had to take a speedboat. We always flew straight to St. Vincent, and then we would take the fast ferry or the slow ferry over to Mayreau, and that would be the same scenario back. And then we would typically even still have to stay in St. Vincent another night on the way back. But that did not happen this time. So that was super cool that we got to fly another plane, see more of the islands from above in the plane. And we also got to take speedboats then, which was super fun, super cool, fun experience. I want to be able to show you guys pictures. I want to make a post on the Faith account, Faith Wildflowers Podcast, Faith Like Wildflowers Podcast Instagram account, and on the YouTube, of pictures from this missions trip, like I have done in the past for when I did the series for my previous missions trips. I want to see, I think I'm able to like save them into a collection and make the collection public or something on my Instagram so that you can look at them all together if you would like, because my previous one, I just did them all together because I did the series kind of all around the same time. This one is obviously way after that, and so the post is going to be very separated. So I want to see if I can do that for you guys so that you can see them kind of all in one place and together, especially because I will be going on mission trips again in the future. I already have one planned to go back to Romania in July, which I can't wait for. So yeah, that way they are together all the time and you can just see all of them if you would like, especially if you come upon this series, because this series is also in a playlist on YouTube. So yeah. Also, side note, I have been, sorry, I am like so excited right now. I have been planning some, and in the talks with some people for podcast episodes, some friends and things, so that is super exciting. I'll be able to have more guests on the podcast coming up. So I'm excited for that. Now you're going to get back into what this episode is actually here for, what you guys actually came to listen to this one for. So on the 11th, after we finally arrived and everything, to Mayreau, after we took the speedboats there and everything, and got there, we had our orientation again, with the whole group, and it was really fun to be able to see the leaders of the base again and their kids, and some of the locals that had kind of recognized me a bit. And after that, we all went down to the beach and we went and explored the blowout spot again, and then just waited in the water for a bit, and that was at Salt Whistle Bay. And then we came back up the huge steep mountain. It is so steep. You walk down to the beach and you walk back up the really steep hill. Every once in a while, someone's driving up and they're like, hey, do you need a ride? We'll give you a ride over to the base, which was very nice. But that time we had to walk up. And then it was just kind of a chill night. I made supper with a couple people from my group that night, and we made spaghetti and garlic bread and salad, which is really, really yummy. And I always somehow, I don't even know how, always over or undercook spaghetti. I don't understand how I always under or overcook the noodles, because I'll literally taste it, like literally every 2 minutes. That was the first time. And I made a huge amount together compared to what I usually make at home for my family. Because this is for like over 20 people. Somehow I did not over or undercook that for my first time, making it with a lot on a really sketchy stove, because it's on a tiny island and the stove is just not that good. So I don't know how that happened. That was definitely the Lord watching over me and helping me, because my goodness, I don't know how I did that. And then after that, we had our debrief. I played Dutch Blitz and Scum with a lot of the girls, and then we went to bed later that night. Then on the 12th, this is when we actually started getting into stuff. That was Monday morning. Let's see. We had breakfast, group devotions, and just like a little pre-meeting to go over what we were going to do for that day. And so then with some of my friends in the group, we were assigned to making invitation cards for the children's and youth ministries that were going to be on Wednesday and Friday. And then we were going to be able to go to the school later that day and hand them out to the children, which is going to be super, super fun. I can't wait to tell you guys about that. Excuse me. So we did that in the morning. Then I helped trim an edge for priming in the main cell hall for a while, and then also walked around a bit with my camera and took pictures of people working for when we make a slideshow and tell about our trip at church. Around 12 we had lunch, and then shortly after lunch, me and the two girls that had made the cards went down to the school to hand out the cards and give some lollipops, which they actually call sweeties, which is super cute and funny. And so we went down, and we got there a little earlier and had walked like the full way up the hill. And the one girl saw us and came out. I don't really know. I guess the teachers aren't like super strict. Maybe they are. I'm not really sure. But she like came out, and the other kids came out for a while, and she kept taking cards and wanting to go give them to her friends until everyone came out for their little like break that they had. And they were all trying to get lollipops and cards, and were super, super excited. They were all like, oh, we got to ask your parents. But yeah, we used to come when they had them before, and I'm so glad they're starting them up again. And we were just like taking pictures with a lot of the kids, and it was super fun. And the one girl that was like handing them out to all her friends just kept taking more and more and trying to hand them out to her friends. And it was so, so sweet and so fun. And then me and one of the other girls from my team, we started playing soccer with some of the boys, because a lot of the other kids kind of just went in then, or some of the younger kids went home, but then some of the older ones still had to be in school. I don't know exactly what their system is with that, but they were playing soccer, and we asked to join them, and then we were like confused on what teams we were on and who was on our teams, because they didn't really tell us. They were just like, you go that way, but they didn't tell my friend that she's supposed to go the other way, and then we were off the teams. So she's trying to shoot in the same thing as me, and they're like, no, you shoot in the other net. And then we were like, okay, we're on the teams. And then we kind of started trying to figure out who was on our teams and could eventually figure it out. But apparently they were playing with a guy from our team the night before on the beach. And so me and my friend are not very good at soccer, and we know that very well, but we just wanted to play and have fun with them. And so they're like, you guys suck at soccer. And they're like, where's TJ, one of the guys on my team, was like telling us that he was like really good and they wanted to play with him instead of us. And it was super funny, brutally honest, but very true and super funny. Anyways, then their bell rang and they had to go back in school, so we went back up to the base. And we helped clean up some walls in the main cell hall to eventually be painted at some point. We never were painting them though. And then I got on a super high ladder. Keep in mind, I hate heights with a passion. I get super shaky. I was on the super high ladder because I was the tallest one of us cleaning the walls, and was trying to get as high as I could. And I was like shaking and freaking out, but I did it and overcame my fear. So I was quite proud of that. And then after that, I did not go to the beach and just showered and kind of took some time to myself. And downloaded pictures and journaled and read a bit. And then we had supper at 6. And the leaders of the base, their one kid asked to sit next to me, and he's being kind of shy, but then eventually started talking. He's just so cute. I love kids so much. He is adorable. And he remembers me from the other times before, so he was like closer to me. And wanted to sit with me, which is super fun. And then we had our meeting and went around sharing our highs and lows. And then after that, Lucy and I FaceTimed one of her friends from back home, which was super fun. And then I helped some of my friends prep breakfast for the next morning. And then I planned my devotional for the next morning as well, because I was going to be leading that. And then went to bed. Then the next day, I kind of just had like a slower getting ready morning. I wanted to get up faster to be able to do devotions by myself, main cell hall for a longer period of time, but I just took a slower morning then because I was being lazy. And then went up around 6:30 and read my Bible before breakfast, and then we had breakfast at 7. And I was on cleanup duty with 2 people from my group, and once we finished that, I led devotions, and I based it off of the book A Purpose-Driven Life, which I've been reading and borrowing from a friend. Highly recommend the book. Excuse me. I'm not very far in it, but I just based it off of the first couple chapters. After that, I helped paint some of the walls in the main cell hall. We didn't get to paint too much because we didn't have that much paint, and they had ordered more to come, but it didn't come at all that week. You have to be very flexible on the island because it's not a self-sustaining island, so they get stuff from the main island, and it doesn't always make it on the boats. And I was jamming to some Caribbean worship, and then country, and then some Christian songs, and just had a whole different variety of vibes over the time. And we had lunch in between, and then after lunch, I was chatting with some people for a while, and just kind of walking around, taking some pictures of some people with my camera, and just having a good time chatting up with some people. And then I was helping prep supper for the base staff because she was doing supper that night with some other girls from my group. And then we got ready and went to the beach. And all of us girls took pictures together in the ocean, which was super fun from our group. And then I came up earlier than everyone else and just kind of showered and chilled. And then was talking to some people from home for a while on my phone. And then I was also watching the staff's kids for them for a while so that she could make supper. And then after supper, we had our meeting. The one staff shared his testimony. And it was my third time hearing because I've shared it every single time that I've gone. But it's just so cool how after you hear testimony so many times, like you just keep getting more and more out of it still. And then also just seeing how it's impacting other people as well when they hear it is super cool. And then after that, sorry, I feel like I keep saying and now it's annoying me. ADHD moment right there. After that, I talked to a friend for a bit, and journaled for a bit, and then went to bed. The following day, I got up early to make breakfast with the group, and it got ready super late because we did not have everything that we needed, and we had to try to figure out how to get what we needed, and it just took a while. And then we had group devotions, and then we split up into groups that day and went into the community to see if people needed help and wanted to chat, and they split us up into groups, our leaders, which was fun because then I got to be with people that I wouldn't have originally chosen and kind of got to know them better, which was really cool. And then we walked around, my group walked around for a bit and found someone getting sand into a wheelbarrow to mix up cement. So I asked him if he wanted help with anything, and he told us the direction of his house. And we kind of started talking to someone else on the road, but then we eventually followed him over when he started walking over. And some of the guys in my group were helping pass cement to make a septic between two brothers-in-law's houses. And so it's a brother and then a sister and her husband. And so these guys were brothers-in-laws. They live right next to each other, and they were making making the septic in between. And so the guys were helping pass cement back and forth, and we're helping mix that up and everything. And then us girls were talking to the wife for a while. We asked her if we can pray for her, and she was just giving us different prayer requests and stuff. And she is a Christian and goes to church. And so we were just talking to her for a while, getting to know her. She gave us a little mini tour of her house, which their house is still getting built back up from after the hurricane. And they just moved in recently to it, and there's almost nothing inside. It's just crazy how she's still so happy and has she literally could try to live somewhere else, but she just wants to live there. She just wants to be home, even though home's not exactly home compared to what it was before. It's home for her. And then she insisted on giving us bracelets, which they were so cute. I'll have to put them on the picture slide then when I post it. But she insisted on giving us bracelets to remember her and just to continue to pray for her, but also just like as like a small gift from her to us, which is super, super sweet. They were super pretty bracelets. Let's see. And then she eventually had to go down to her job, which is selling bracelets and articles of clothing and blankets and things on the beach where a lot of tourists come. So when she left, then us other girls were just kind of talking for a bit, and then when the guys eventually finished helping them pour cement into the septic, then we kept walking, and we came to the store that one of the guys in our group kind of wanted to check out, and then the owner of the store, started talking to us for a while, and he was giving us like this history lesson about so much stuff. He loves history, and we'll just talk and talk and talk. He also did share his perspective of the hurricane and his experience in it, which was really cool to be able to hear and to talk to him about that. And we had talked to him for a while about that and then history stuff that he wanted to share with us. And one of the locals must know that he really likes to talk because she came in to buy something from the store. And she's standing there laughing at us because we're listening to this guy yap on and on about his history stuff. And that was really funny. Yeah. So after that, we went back to the base for lunch. And then Lucy and I were helping to cross off some different items from a list that one of the base directors had given us. So we were bringing cots out to put up at the front of the base for free. And then we were putting items from outside of a storage room back inside of it after it had gotten cleaned out. And then we were cleaning some floors on the base in different rooms, and just organizing some items, and a bunch of other girls were organizing other things and cleaning other spots as well. And then Allie, Lucy, and I kind of took charge and were planning the children's ministry night because that was going to be that night. And so we got some songs together and a craft together, a skit together, and some games together, and we're gonna run with the night then and be in charge of that. And so we showered, and then we all met up as a whole group going over the plan of what all was going to happen. And then all the kids came around 4, and we started with them just running all around and being crazy, and us all talking to them, which was super fun. And then we started with psalms, and one of the guys from our group played the guitar, and Allie, Lucy, and I did the motions and sang up front. And we did the fruit of the Spirit, and then Jesus loves the little children, and Father Abraham. And it was kind of cool how for Jesus Loves the Little Children kind of added their own section to it that we had never heard, and we just left them sing it, and it was super cool to be able to hear that and see them like remember that and sing it. And then after that, we did the Lost Sheep skit from the Bible, and Lucy read My dad was on the trip and he was the shepherd, and my brother was also on the trip and he was the lost sheep, and then the rest of us were just crawling around on all fours saying ba ba. It was really funny for the kids to see that. And then after that, Allie gave a little lesson, and then we did a craft and had them all draw shepherds and sheep, and we were helping them and talking to them, and it was really fun. And then we attempted to play sharks and minnows, but it was a little chaotic, and so we did not play very long. And after that, they got snack and then they left. And so after ministry, us girls changed into our church outfits, and we all walked to Lola's restaurant as a group down on the other side. All right, I'm back. For some reason, I stopped recording. Thankfully, I did not get very far after I realized that it stopped recording, so we are back again. What was I saying? We went down to Saline Bay and walked down to Lola's restaurant, and we're gonna have supper there as a group that night. And us girls took pictures on the beach with the sunset, and a couple other people were taking pictures to them. And then we just kind of chilled and waited for our food to be ready. I got a beef wrap with fries, and it was so good. I loved it. And we all just kind of talked at our different tables with their group. I was sitting with some older girls from the group, still like close to my age, like young adults, just a little older than me. And then one of the other staff of the base was with us that night as well. So you're talking to her. And then when we were done eating and everything, the staff gave some of us a ride back up, which is super nice because we didn't have to walk the whole way back up the hill then. And then we just chilled. I looked through some pictures and talked with some of the other girls for a while, and then journaled and went to bed. And the next morning I got up with my friend Allie to see the sunrise. But it wasn't very good, which is kind of sad, but it was okay. And then we went back to the base and I did devotions, and we had breakfast at 7. Someone led our group devos, and then everyone except for Allie and her fiance and I went to Tobago Keys to go snorkeling. I'm not a fan of the beach and water. It would have been really cool to see, but I've also heard it can be a little rough, and some people had kind of scary experiences when they went with my group, so I'm kind of glad that I didn't go. Allie and I got to stay back and help finish cleaning some things from the list from before, and then we got to watch the staff's one kid and play with him because he was asking for friends to play with, and we love kids, so we went to play with him for a while. And then Allie and her fiance prepped lunch and got lunch made so that when the group came back, we could all have lunch together. And so before that, Allie and I brought him to the playground and played trains with him for a while and played hide and seek. And then when they started making lunch, I was coloring with him for a while and we had snacks together. And then we were passing a soccer ball back and forth for a while. And then when everyone came back, we had lunch, and then we were given different options for work. And so I made cards for the school teachers and the kids on the island. We made some personal ones for the kids' names that we would have remembered, but then we also made just generic ones for any of the kids. And then shortly after that, Allie and I walked down to the beach, and we bought some bracelets, and we bought from Bernadette so I could talk to her again. From the one that my group had talked to for a while a couple days before. And then I came back up and showered and just chilled for a bit, and supper was at 6, and then some young adults on the island came up to the base for young adults night, and we had supper with them. And then some of us girls played spoons, which was super fun, and then we had team time, and Lucy and I picked out songs from a paper that were printed out in the guitar case, and one of the guys from our group led in spontaneous worship, and a lot of people joined us then. And we even did some old bluegrass worship, which was super fun, that the guy had memorized from our group, and it was super cool to be able to just worship together and do it spontaneously. And then shortly after that, everyone started going to bed. Us girls were getting ready for bed and just kind of laughing and joking around. And then a cricket kind of jumped onto one of the girls from my group, and we all tried to get it. I tried to kill it with the flip-flop, and it fell, and we couldn't find him. We were moving beds around for a while before we could find it. And then eventually went to bed, but everyone was a little scared. The next day, I got ready for the day, and then went up to the... Sorry, I need a pen. I wrote this wrong. I said I went up to the school. I did not go up to the school that early in the morning. I went up to the main cell hall. ADHD again. Main cell hall. That's terrible handwriting. Oh well. And read my Bible for a little bit, and then we had breakfast and had group devotionals. And then for the morning, I took pictures of a couple people working with my camera, and then was helping my friend Allie with some landscaping. And a bit after that, Lana, Lucy, and I brought the cards for the teachers and the kids to the school, and we sat outside the school for a while until their bell rang for the groups so that we didn't interrupt their classes again like we had done before. And then we passed out the cards and played with them, and we're giving them piggyback rides, and then they were playing with their hair, and I had my hair in braids, but those got taken out because they wanted to play with my hair. And then we were trying to take pictures with them and like selfies, and then some of them were like taking our phones and taking pictures of us and pictures of us with the other kids, and like the pictures actually turned out pretty good too. And they were just having a lot of fun with that. And just playing with us, and they came out with like these really, really long, massive popsicles, like those ice popsicles that are like flavored, and they're obviously not that good because you suck the flavor out of them. It's just a stick of ice at that spot that you sucked it out of. But I've never seen them that big. They were so long. It was crazy. And then we were, just playing with them and having fun with them. And then they had to go back into class. And so we went back and chilled a little bit before lunch. And then after lunch, dispersed, and most went to the beach. But me and two others from the group hiked up to the top of a mountain for the crazy view of like almost the entire mountain or the island on that side of the one mountain. And it was super cool. And then you could see out to the ocean and see other islands nearby too. And then after that, we went back and showered, and packed up a bit, and I swept up our room, and then we went up to the main sale hall and just chilled a bit and had team time at 5, said our highs and lows, and one of the leaders from our group shared her testimony, and I was kind of watching the kids while listening to her testimony because I have heard before. But again, just like the other guys, it's super cool to be able to hear it again and just get so much out of it. And then we prayed for her and took a group picture, and then shortly after that we had supper, and then a local made shark, which I literally hate fish, but surprisingly I actually like shark. It wasn't that bad. And then we had the youth came up later that night for youth night, and we played knockout for a while, and then some of us girls were playing slap Leola hand game. And then shortly after they left, I went to bed. And then the next day we got up super early, got ready, finished packing, swept up the room one last time, and then brought everything up to the main sale hall and had breakfast early and packed sandwiches for lunch. And we loaded all the suitcases onto the gator and walked down to the dock and waited for about 2 hours because you never know when the boat's going to be. Sometimes it comes early, sometimes it comes late. It came late because it was having problems starting up that morning. And then we took the boat to St. Vincent Island. And while we were waiting for the boat, I was just swinging on a swing, watching the ocean. It was super, super pretty. And then when I first got on the boat, I was kind of taking some pictures. There was a really cool rainbow. And then I slept a little, ate a snack, and journaled. And the rest of the time, I just kind of slept off and on. And when we got off the ferry, we found our taxis and drove to the same restaurant that we had stayed at when we were in St. Vincent the first time for the first half of the group, or the second half of the group that went, that had knock on Friday. And then I got a burger and fries, just so good. And then we drove to the airport, got checked in, went through security, and just chilled a bit. And then we had our 5-hour flight back and drove back home. So that was the entire Mayreau trip. Also, I want to show you guys, I put my tickets, or I got a note from one of the people in my group last time on the trip. She just put it on my bed for me, which is super sweet. So I put that in here, or for Romania, I got a postcard one day. If I can find it. Yeah. And that's in here. I just put different things from my trips in here. It is super fun to make a travel journal and to be able to write down all the memories so I can look back on them and read them. and enjoy them. And then I also like read them for the podcast, but then also like for friends and family, and also just for myself. It is super fun. So I would highly encourage you guys to do that for mission trips, or honestly any trip. But yeah, that is all I have for this podcast episode. I hope that you guys enjoy these. And yeah, comment down below any podcast episodes that you would like to see, or any people that you would like me to try to get on this podcast. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for your support, and excuse me. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day.